Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good, excellent. Well, we are so excited to see so many of you here. This might be like the biggest event we have ever done for this because all of you showed up. Like normally we have people who stuff happens and they aren't able to make it, but all of you made it and we are so pleased that you did because we are so excited to tell you about the Kellogg Future Leaders Program. My name is Christine Mayer and I am the Director of Admissions for the two-year program at Kellogg. I'm also joined here tonight by a number of my colleagues who are here on hand to help answer questions. So you met Lyndon White and Emily at the check-in table. They both work on the Kellogg Future Leaders Program and can help answer questions about that. Also lucky to have our Director of Diversity, Lance Bennett, who works across all of our programs. So any questions you have, that's what we're here for tonight, is to help get those answered. Our goal for the evening is to give you a sense of why Kellogg is a fantastic option for your MBA. We do have a number of Northwestern undergrads come through the full-time program, and what they have told us is that it is, even though they are still at Northwestern, it is such a distinct and unique experience coming back for their MBA. So we want to give you some insight into what that experience is going to look like. And we will, at the end of the presentation, have some current students who will be coming to give some tours. So if you have another class or an activity to head out to, great. But if you have some time to stick around and want to engage with a current student or just get a little bit more insight into what the building looks like and how your experience here might look, feel free to stick around and we'll get you set up on one of those tours as well. So before we jump into all of the reasons why Kellogg might be the great fit for you, let's take a minute to talk about the Kellogg Future Leaders Program. So you might be wondering, what exactly does the deferred enrollment program look like, or how does this differ from the regular Kellogg full-time MBA? And so Kellogg Future Leaders is our program that allows undergraduates and master's students who have not yet gained work experience to apply now and secure a spot in a future Kellogg program 2 to 5 years down the road. So you'll apply, you'll be admitted, and then you'll go out and you'll get that experience. The industry that you work in, the number of years that you take, whether it's 2 or whether it's 5, is really up to you. So you're going to decide what that timeline looks like within that range, and you're going to go pursue a job that excites you and that you want to pursue for these next couple of years after work. And you'll check in annually with a designated admissions officer who is there to kind of guide you along that path and help you figure out when is the right time to come back and enter the class. And so when you do come back to enter the class, not only will you have a seat reserved for you in our full-time 2-year program, but we also have a portfolio of different options that I'll talk about in a minute. And if one of our other programs, like the evening and weekend program or our 1-year program or M makes more sense for you in your career goals, that's a conversation that you'll be able to have with that admissions officer to talk about as you enter the class, and we'll find the right program for you. So in considering the MBA, you may be thinking, well, what are the advantages of applying now through Kellogg Future Leaders? And there are quite a few of them. So first, you are going to secure that spot in a future Kellogg class, which means that you are investing time now that is going to pay off later, and you don't have to worry about this application process a few years down the road when you're trying to balance your career and your personal life and your hobbies. You're all already in that school mindset. You're used to writing essays, you're used to writing papers. So doing this now is going to be a good investment of your time because it's going to save you a lot of time later and give you that peace of mind that you've already gotten this hard part out of the way and have that seat waiting for you. Second, no application fee. So we know that you are balancing your money right now. You're probably trying to decide, do I spend money on pizza and beer? Do I save it for spring break? Thank you, a little bit of laugh, thank you. Do I save it for spring break? We don't want you to have to choose between all the fun college stuff and applying to this program, so we're gonna make it really easy for you. Save your money for the fun stuff. All we need for you is this time for you to fill out that application, and that's all we need, and you can save it for the fun stuff. Third, and this is a big one, the GMAT and the GRE are optional for Northwestern undergraduates. Has anyone started to look at taking the GRE or the GMAT? A lot of studying that goes into that, right? Like, do you necessarily have time to do that studying right now? No, you're like, I have my classes and I have all my other stuff. This is an amazing opportunity because if you apply in the full-time program, on the regular cycle, you do have to submit a GMAT or a GRE. So this is sort of your option to not have to do that. Being that it's optional, it means that if you have a score that you would like to include because you think it makes your application more competitive or shows us something about your ability that maybe isn't reflected in your grades or elsewhere, you can still submit that if you'd like, but you do not have to. And so this is your opportunity to not have to do that GMAT prep, not have to sit for that exam, and be able to apply without it. Fourth, I mentioned this a minute ago, but you do have that ability to switch programs when you're ready to come back to school. So let's say that right now you're thinking, yeah, the full-time experience sounds really great, and that's what I'm hoping to do, but you start working, and you really love your job, and you love that path you're on, and you think, well, I still want to get my MBA, but I don't necessarily want to take time away from work to do that. That's where you'll be talking to your admissions officer, and we'll put you in connection with my colleagues down in our evening and weekend program, and maybe that's the right fit for you at that time. Conversely, we also have some other full-time programs with some special timelines and interests, and I'll talk about those in a minute. And you may say, one of those is a better fit for my career goals now that those are more fully realized as I get closer to that point of coming back to school. And then finally, I've mentioned this, but you do have that dedicated admission support throughout your time and access to Kellogg resources. So we are there to kind of help you along that journey, knowing that you're going to experience a lot of new things over the next 2 to 5 years in your career, and we'll be positioned to help you along the way. So that's a little bit about the deferred enrollment process. And I promise you we will talk about the application process and all of those details, and I'll give you some good tips and tricks at the end of the presentation. But first, let's talk about why Kellogg is a really great school for you. So we at Kellogg, we are a business school, but we are not business as usual. We are going to equip you to become a dynamic leader that sees opportunities that other people don't and be able to leverage that for the rest of your career. And so when you look at this, we want you to be a leader that the world needs. And this is a pretty tall order. This is not just a leader that Northwestern needs. This is not just a leader that your organization needs. We want you to be a leader that the world needs. And so that's going to be a key part of your MBA experience at Kellogg, is not just the coursework and the technical classes that you are taking to advance you in your career, but really equipping you for that leadership throughout your career. And speaking of great leaders, we are very happy to have welcomed Francesca Cornelli as our dean in the last several months. She brings a wide array of insights and background from her time at London Business School. She has also taught in the States at Wharton and at Fuqua, and she brings deep finance experience as well as a passion for innovation. And that innovation is one of those things that she said really drew her to Kellogg. And you can see here a couple examples of our curricular innovation, where in the last 5 years, we have added 64 new courses and experiential learning opportunities. And in the last year alone, 3 different pathways to help you guide your study. And I'll talk about pathways and majors in a minute. But what this really means for you, because you are looking at coming to school in 2 to 5 years, it means that we will constantly be evaluating and renovating this curriculum so that when you get here in 2 to 5 years, there are probably things that aren't even commonplace today that will be hot topics and things that you will want to learn about to prepare you for careers on the outbound of the MBA, where we will be constantly innovating that curriculum for you. So things like blockchain and machine learning that weren't hot topics a few years ago, but now are really commonplace, those are things that we've innovated into our curriculum. And so you can rest assured that we will constantly be looking at that so that by the time you come in 2 to 5 years, you will get that insight into the curriculum and that innovation. And we're excited to see where Dean Francesca Cornelli takes us. All right, so let's get into the curriculum a bit. I mentioned the 4 distinct programs within full-time. These are all part of the full-time experience, just with slightly different paths for the timing or for the field of study. So our 1-year and 2-year degrees, as you can see here, are very cleverly named, and they are 1 year and 2 year long. So the 1-year degree is going to be a great fit for those of you who maybe you've gone out on that career path, you are really excited about what you're doing, but you're still looking for that immersive full-time experience, but you'd like to do that and come back to the workplace more quickly. The 1-year degree is going to be a really good option for you. The 2-year degree, again, that's the program that I work really closely with, and it is designed to give you that summer internship. So especially for those of you looking to pivot or try something new in your career path, that internship's going to be a great opportunity, and it also gives you the widest opportunity to pursue different electives and experiential opportunities. Then we also have 2 dual degree programs. Our M program, which is a Master's of Design and Innovation in partnership with McCormick, and that's combined with the MBA. So for those of you that have career goals like product management, or maybe you want to work for a company that really values design and innovation, this could be a nice piece to have in your toolkit that's layered on top of the MBA that you can combine together for that career path. And then finally, our JD MBA program. This is a dual degree, really focused for those of you that have an interest at the intersection of business and law. And the key thing here is that you are able to finish it in 3 years instead of the 5 it would take you to do them separately. So again, right now you're reserving your spot in the 2-year class, but as you get closer to coming to Kellogg, you will be able to have conversations about if one of these other programs might be a better fit for you and your goals. Regardless of which program you choose, you will have the ability to really put together a curriculum that makes the most sense for you and what you want to do. So that's the key thing to take away here, is how flexible that curriculum is to really design it for what you want to do. So we have majors, which are designed around the academic areas, and these are going to be areas that you can dive deep into. So for example, if you would like to go into investment banking, you're probably going to dive deep into finance. If you want to go into consulting, you're probably going to dive deep into strategy. And so you have that ability to go into that area of coursework, but it's not like undergrad where you have to pick a major, declare it ahead of time, and then follow a really prescriptive plan to get to that major. This is very flexible for you. A major is normally a core class plus a couple extra classes, and you can double major, and you can also go for breadth rather than depth, which means you'll come across with a general management major if you don't specialize in any one area. The pathways are what you can think of as travel guides for exploring an industry or maybe a special topic that you'd like to layer on top of your functional area in your major. So this is designed by 2 tenure track faculty members who have combed the entire curriculum, and they've looked at what are all the classes across all of our different majors, across all of our different initiatives, across our 200 different electives that would align you for success in this area. So for example, if you are interested in entrepreneurship, you can look at the entrepreneurship pathway and look for those classes that would help you to design, test, and launch a new company. Conversely, if you are looking at social impact, you can look at that pathway to see which classes should I take if I'm interested in social policy, which classes should I take if I'm interested in impact investing, which classes should I take if I'm interested in nonprofit governance. So there are a lot of different pathways and ways in which you can identify those classes, and they really are there to help you be able to customize your curriculum and layer all the things together to help you get at what you want to do. And your coursework would not be complete without our global opportunities. So after all, you can't become a leader that the world needs if you don't get out and see the world. So we do anticipate you getting out and seeing the world in some form or fashion with us, whether it's inside the classroom or outside of the classroom. You could do quarters abroad. You could go to our San Francisco winter campus, which is at the NU campus, and you would go do classes there focused on either startups or venture capital, while also interning at a startup or a VC in San Francisco. Or you could do the quarter abroad and go partner with one of our 25 partner institutions to go out into the world and get experience in a location that you are interested in seeing or want to have a network in someday. We also have shorter trips that really focus on deep dives into special topics or consulting for companies overseas. And so our students that are currently enrolled in our Global Initiatives and Management class and our Global Lab classes are preparing for spring break trips where they will go in country to study things like doing business in Africa or maybe consulting with an electric vehicles company in India. And so these are great ways to get that in-depth experience and that in-country experience over a shorter time frame than a study abroad. And then finally, we also have extracurricular trips as well. And these are really designed to help you to get to know your classmates and start to build that community and that network that you're looking for out of business school. And this culture and this network is what's going to build those leadership skills that we talked about to become that leader that the world needs. And we really believe that you are going to get as much outside of the classroom as you will inside of it. And a lot of that comes from this incredibly diverse, incredibly highly ambitious, but low ego community of classmates that you will be here at Kellogg with. And so we want to bring people in from all over the world with all sorts of different backgrounds, different viewpoints, different life experiences that you're going to learn from each other. And by immersing yourself in this community and building this network with these people, this is how you learn to build your leadership skills. A lot of that happens in our student-led culture. And so we have more than 100 different clubs that you can take part in. And these range from everything from our professional clubs, like the Kellogg Technology Club or the Kellogg Consulting Club, to our affinity groups like our Black Management Association or our Women's Business Association, or regional clubs like the Chinese Business Club, or Anzuma, which is Australia and New Zealand and Oceania, all the way to our fun stuff, like Brew and Q, which is the Beer and Barbecue Club, or all of the sports clubs. There's so many different sporting events that the students conduct. But all of these are student-led initiatives, and this is a great place for you to practice that leadership and learn to do one of the hardest things that there is to do, which is learn to lead your peers. And so this is going to put you in an environment and a culture that supports you, that builds that network, and that builds those leadership skills. And of course, you want to take those leadership skills out into your career, and that's a huge part of why you're probably considering the MBA in the first place, is to think about what that career path is going to look like. And you're all about to embark on phase 1 of your career, which is getting those first few years of experience after school, and getting that experience to then return to either accelerate or pivot your career. And you can see the number of industries that our students go into is really wide-ranging. This is just some of the top industries. But you will work with our Career Management Center to do workshops, to get one-on-one coaching, to do interview prep groups with students who have interviewed in that space to understand what the interviews look like. All sorts of support to help you achieve that goal of what it is you want to do next post-MBA. And that support has resulted in 98% of our students having a job within 3 years of graduation at a base salary and signing bonus on average of $170,000. So when I say that the MBA can be a career and life-changing trajectory for you, we are not kidding. So that is one of the key things that you will get out of the MBA, is that clarity on your career path and helping you manage into those new paths. And that trajectory can take you all over the world. So it really is about where you want to go and where you want to end up. We have alumni all over. So this is really about your preference. And so for those of you who have really loved and enjoyed your last couple of years here in Evanston and in Chicago, we do have alums that stay in the Midwest and are able to have great careers here. But if you're like, nope, I'm ready to get back out to someplace else, more than 2/3 of our alums do end up outside of the Midwest. So this is really about your personal preference and where in the world you want to go. And I mentioned having alums all over the world, and this alumni community and this alumni network is not just a network that you are joining for the 2 years that you're here at school. It is a network that you are joining for life. And one of the things that I love most about the Kellogg network is how responsive they are. In my job, I get the privilege of going around the world. I've been to more than 20 countries with Kellogg, and getting to do presentations like this, where I go and I talk to prospective students like yourself that are all over the world and get to meet with those alums. And I can tell you that it does not matter where in the world I go, the responsiveness of those alums is outstanding. They are there to help me with the session and whatever it is that I'm trying to do. They are there to help the prospective students who want to learn more about Kellogg. They're there to help current students who have questions about jobs and projects and different things. And they're there to help each other along their journeys, both personally and professionally. And to a person, when you ask them, like, you are such a busy alum, you have so much on your plate, why are you taking this time out to help me or talk to these students? Almost to a person, they will say, Kellogg gave me so much, I just want to pay it forward. And that type of mentality and that type of responsiveness in a network is a truly, truly special thing, because you could have more than 1 million people in your network, but if they didn't pick up the phone when you called, it would be a worthless network. So that's where I would encourage you to really get to know the Kellogg community, really connect with current students. We have current student clubs that you can reach out to and ask a little bit about what their experience looks like. As you start to work and you get into your companies, talk to other Kellogg alums in those companies and ask about their experiences. I think you're going to be really excited by what you find. All right, so hopefully that has gotten you excited about the Kellogg experience and what that might look like for you. Again, that was just to give you kind of a sampling of everything we have to offer, and we really do encourage you to keep exploring the Kellogg community. But now you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds great. How do I get in? What are you looking for? Anybody have that question right now? What are you looking at? Just a few people? Why'd you all show up if you don't want to know how you get in? Right? Okay. So I promised you that we would give you the inside scoop on the application process. I am the director that oversees evaluation, so this is an area of great passion for me. And I want to make sure that you get to demystify this process a little bit and that it's not scary and that you have all of your questions answered. So first, let's look at what kind of student are we looking for. So I mentioned before, we are hoping to build a diverse and talented class. That is our main goal, is to bring people of all sorts of different backgrounds together. So we are not looking for any one major. We're not looking for any one job after Kellogg. That really is more for you to pursue the things that are of interest to you, and then show us how that would add to our class, because we are looking to bring all different types of backgrounds together. But at a minimum, we do want students who are creative, who are innovative, and above all, looking to solve problems by working with other people. In terms of how we assess that, we're going to do a holistic review of your application. And so what that means is that if I sit down to read your application, I am reading it from front to back. I'm looking for all the different things that you put in it to get a sense of who you are and what you add to the community. So first, we'll start with intellectual ability. This really just means, do you have what it takes to be successful in the classroom? We're going to look at your GPA, we're going to look at your courses and your major, but we're really just looking to see, what would you add in that classroom? When we put you in there with people from all the different backgrounds, what specific contribution are you making, and making sure that you will be able to perform inside the classroom. Then we're looking at your job plans and your professional goals. So when we talk about job plan, we're talking about what is it that you're hoping to do in the next several years between now and Kellogg. Again, this is going to look really different for people, but helping us to have a sense of, what are you planning to do? What are you hoping to get out of those few years before you come back to Kellogg? And just getting a sense of that and how it looks now. For the professional goals, that's talking about what are you hoping to do post-Kellogg. So you're coming back to the MBA, it's on your radar for a reason. Tell us what that reason is. Help us connect those dots and tell us, this is where I'm going to go, this is why I'm coming back to Kellogg on the MBA, and this is what I hope to do with it in the future. And for those of you who are thinking, like, I don't 100% have it all figured out, that is totally okay, and that's a very normal feeling. And that's something that we expect, is that you will have an idea of what you want to do, but that is going to take shape over the next several years as you work and as you come back to Kellogg. And even while you're at Kellogg, you're going to keep refining what that future path looks like. So just really give us a sense of kind of what your path looks like, help us connect those dots. And above all, my tip here is to just be yourself. Do not be worried about, oh, I'm applying to business school, they must expect me to have this type of plan or this type of background. Be yourself and just really share that with us. In terms of leadership drive and impact, this is really around, how are you getting involved? How are you impacting those around you? Again, this can look really different for people. Some of you might be heavily involved in extracurriculars. You might be really involved in campus experiences. Some of you might be involved in community outside of Northwestern. Whatever this looks like for you, we want to understand, where have you developed your leadership skills? How have you made an impact on others? How do you hope to do that going forward? And again, this is something that for those of you, I know we've got some people who are maybe a year or two out from graduation, and so you've got a little bit of time to kind of get yourself ready. This is an area that I would encourage you to take a look at right now and say, how am I leveraging my time? Should I be getting more involved? Am I having the impact I want to have? And if you aren't raising your hand for leadership opportunities, start to do that and start to push yourself and get a little bit of that skill set, because it's going to make a difference on the job, and it's going to make a difference when you get to Kellogg to have gotten involved and tested yourself now. And then finally, interpersonal skills. I mentioned that this is an incredibly collaborative and team-based environment. We truly believe that you are going to come up with better solutions to problems if you were working with other people, if you were working with different points of view, and that's going to push you to the best answer. So we do want people who thrive in a team setting, who are really looking to develop that skill set and have those interpersonal skills to work together to solve problems. In terms of timing, the application is going to be open next week, so next Wednesday, February 26th. You will apply by April 2nd, meaning you'll turn everything in by then, to then get a decision by May 20th. So the application itself, you'll fill out the application, you'll submit a resume, transcripts. For that, we'd be looking for your most recent transcript that reflects your most recently completed term, and then obviously we'll look for a completed transcript once you graduate. Essays, that job plan we were talking about what you're hoping to do next, and then a letter of recommendation. So for the Kellogg Future Leaders Program, we do only need one letter of recommendation, and this should be from somebody who knows you really well and can speak about your performance in whatever capacity that performance looks like based on how they know you, but your performance and your potential. So this could be an internship supervisor. It could be a current supervisor if you work on campus or elsewhere in the community. It could be a professor. It could be an advisor for an extracurricular or a campus activity you have. It just should be somebody who knows you well and can speak about the growth that they've seen in you since the time they've known you. Sometimes we see people that think, oh, I've got to go get the highest titled person that I can find, and that if I get, President Shapiro or something, that'll bode really well for me. But if it is only going to tell us like, hey, I know this person and they're a really nice person, that's not going to be very insightful, and that's not going to help us compared to that person that you work with really closely and are able to, they're able to share with us all of your great qualities and how they've seen you grow and what kind of potential they see in you. So really choose the person that can do that best. But again, what venue that comes from, whether it's school or work or extracurricular, that's really up to you.